April 16th, Errol Spence Jr., I believe, will be facing his toughest test to date when he squares off against Chris Algieri. Chris Algieri is a huge underdog in this fight. Errol Spence is heavily favored. The odds makers don't have much faith in Chris Algieri, but we've seen Chris Algieri be the underdog before against Ruslan Provodnikov, against Emmanuel Taylor, against Amir Khan. And against Taylor and Provodnikov, he was able to upset the apple cart. But in the Khan fight, he came close. I mean, I scored that fight 115 to 113. Some people thought that he won that fight. So that was a fight that possibly could have won either way, but I thought Khan did enough to edge it out. Now, Chris Algieri definitely is an athletic opponent. He's an athletic fighter, just as Errol Spence is an athletic fighter. But there's no question here that Errol Spence definitely hits harder. He's more of a committed body puncher as well. He has that sneaky type power where he can really be explosive and hit opponents with punches they don't see. And when he does get inside or get up close, he works and he puts shots together. And he can get guys out of there when he gets them hurt. He doesn't play around. Now, he hasn't been in there with top-level opposition, but when he's been in there with guys, he's gotten them out of there when he had to get them out of there, when he was supposed to get them out of there. He did his job in there. So if you give him the eye test, you can definitely see he can fight. And Chris Algieri can fight too, but the big problem is he's not really a big puncher, and sometimes he'll go toe-to-toe with guys, and he'll get tagged and he'll get marked up, and he'll be the worst for wear in some fights. Now, that Provodnikov fight, that was kind of a war. He went toe-to-toe. You could see his face was busted up. That was a very close fight that possibly could have went either way too. So if Chris Algieri decides to go to war with Errol Spence, like he did against Amir Khan and Ruslan Provodnikov in spots, then it could be troublesome for him, because we've seen against Manny Pacquiao how he was susceptible to the straight left. And Errol Spence definitely has a sneaky straight left right down the pike, and when he lands it, he can get his opponent's attention and he can freeze them in their tracks. So what type of fight will Chris Algieri fight in this fight? Will he fight a performance like he fought against Provodnikov, where he did slug early on, but then he made the adjustment and moved very well and used range and boxed from the outside? Or will he go toe-to-toe and get in Errol Spence's grill like he did against Amir Khan? I look at this basically as a maybe 60-40 fight in Errol Spence's favor. So I give, Algieri a chance here. But if you do put a gun to my head, I'm going to have to roll with Spence here, because Spence has the ability to fight on the outside as well as the inside. And I think if they go punch for punch, definitely Errol Spence Jr.'s punches will have more effect on Algieri and not the other way around. So I think Errol Spence will land the cleaner, more telling blows in this fight. And I think if the fight does go to the outside, I think that Spence will be able to land that straight left from the outside very well. And I think if it goes up close, we've seen Errol Spence with giving hellacious body shots. I mean, he can dig to the body. He is no joke on the inside as well. So I think Errol Spence has the edge in this fight. I don't think he's as huge of a favorite as the odds makers are saying. I think Algieri could make this fight difficult. He could make Errol Spence really work hard for this victory, but I would not rule out a late stoppage from Errol Spence, or possibly just a clear-cut competitive decision. So I'm going to have to roll with the young lion here. I'm going to say that he will pass his first big test. And even though Chris Algieri's live, and because he's such an underdog, I wouldn't rule out putting a little money on Algieri because he's such a huge underdog. But at the end of the day, you put a gun to my head, I'm going to have to roll with the guy who has the power, who has the sharp punching ability, and the guy who can go toe-to-toe and he can box well from the outside. The guy who's going to have maybe the AK-47 where the other guy may have the 22. And if you have me ask the AK-47 up against the 22, I'm going to go with the AK-47. So the big gun is going to take out the little gun here, and I'm going to go with Errol Spence Jr. All right, guys, till next time. Peace.